Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another speed build. In this speed build, I'm building an island-themed mansion on a 50 by 50 lot in Sulani. So once again, I'm building in Sulani. At this point, I don't even remember any of the other worlds. I don't know, it's crazy. I've said this before, but after the Get Famous release, everyone was kind of hyped and built all these celebrity mansions, and so did I. But after a couple of builds, it was kind of, I don't know, it was just getting old pretty quick. And this time, after the release of Island Living, it's just so different. I cannot stop building in this world and it's just so much fun. So I decided to build a tropical mansion, and I was kind of mixing a very traditional tropical island theme style with a kind of modern approach, I guess you could say. And I'm so proud of myself. I have to say, I did not use one pristine pedestal in this build. No pristine pedestal. You guys know that I love this little object. I used the spade monolith and the little stone slab to create the pool area, but no pristine pedestal in this build. Zero pristine pedestals. And it was fun to not use it for once, because I don't know, I love it too much, I guess. So I'm kind of oftentimes doing the same things with the pristine pedestals, so it was kind of good that I was staying away from this object. But I just love it so much, and sometimes you just have an object that gives you a lot of ideas and possibilities. And today in the patch we're going to receive over 1,000 new objects, and I kind of hope that there will be some really amazing objects that kind of have the same effect on me as the pristine pedestal. But hopefully there will be multiple of those. So I don't know, I'm super hyped for the rocks. I know that most people are super hyped for the rocks and the cars. So the cars are of course not functional, they are just for decoration purposes, but so far we always had to size up the little toy car, the base game toy car, and now we are going to have some real looking cars, and I have to say that I'm totally here for that. I know that some simmers are hoping for functional cars, and I know that a lot of people kind of hate the fake cars. As I said, it was pretty common so far to just size up the base game toy car and to build a fancy looking garage or something, but a lot of people kind of hate this. I like this because it just makes a build look more realistic, and I like to do that. I know that many of my builds are not really realistic, but it just sometimes adds a bit of realism in the right spot to a build. Also, it gives you so many new building possibilities because you're doing all kinds of different things with a build. Sometimes it's, I don't know, a bungalow, sometimes you have a wraparound porch, and sometimes you just want to include a garage. So just another element that you can add. And when you're using a fake car, it kind of makes sense to just place it in front of the garage on the driveway, for example. Also, I love to build garages that kind of have some gym equipment on the inside, especially when you are building some kind of normal sized family homes, anything that's suburban, something that's not totally crazy or over the top. Then it kind of makes sense to build a garage and you just put this stuff inside this room because it's kind of realistic. You don't have a huge fancy home gym area in a regular small house, so you can just use this area for this and the workbench and all that stuff. And I love to do that personally, so I'm super excited for the update. But as I said, especially for the rocks, because I love landscaping and we only have these 5 rocks, I think, and a couple of rocks that are part of StrangerVille. But generally we only have these 5 rocks and a couple of color options, so I'm really excited for all the new objects. So I don't know, I have a lot of building ideas, and I know that a lot of simmers are feeling this way, but after the announcement of the new objects, I had no idea what to build really, because I have these ideas and I kind of want to use the new objects for this, and I kind of wait to kind of take a closer look at all the stuff that we kind of got. I also saw that we are going to have some solar panels. I think they are part of Get Famous, so if you want to build some type of the grid build, you don't have to fake solar panels with some roofs, you can just use these then. And I think it's great, but we will see what's going to happen. So I wanted to build something that is kind of crazy and has multiple levels. This is why I built on this lot, because it's not a waterfront lot, so I was able to use the terrain tools. I created multiple levels, and at this point I really just worked out the shape in the front and the pool area, and it was super tricky, and then I just kind of had to find a way to attach a house to this. And this was kind of confusing for some reason. I mean, I just raised the terrain a lot, and then I used some floor tiles on it, and I kind of tried to connect it, as you can see here, and at first I struggled, but then I added a piece of foundation to the section in the top, and I just added another piece and put some stairs in between to connect it. I also added a bit of foundation right next to the pool because I was running into a weird bug where I wasn't able to add floor tiles to the pool, so the area next to it was kind of just green. I couldn't change it. It was super weird. And as you saw, I just added a room at the bottom and then I stacked more on top, so I technically just built a tower. And the reason for that is so I was able to kind of expand the build at the bottom if I wanted to, because when you just start at the top, you cannot just build a room right underneath. You always have to start at the bottom. It's super weird and confusing, but that's what I did. And then I just started to work on the actual house, because at this point I just have this area at the top. And then I started to build a section, because this is just kind of a guideline, a general area. I have the section at the top and the tower that I mentioned. So this area here, the little house with the attic on top, this is kind of the beginning of the actual house, and then I just changed a lot of stuff. So I built a attic technically. I've made a tutorial for this in the past, so if you are interested, you can find the playlist for all my tutorials in the description box down below. So if you want to build your very own attic, you can do that. And then I just connected this with another room in the back. I wanted to have a house that kind of looks tropical but also kind of traditional, because I feel like the shape is not too tropical. It just kind of looks island themed because of all the colors that I used and because of the roof tiles I used and all that, but the house itself isn't really island themed. I was just kind of ringing it. I started to build. As you saw, I added the section with the little attic on top, and then I just added more and more stuff and worked out the shape just the way I like to do it. And I added a roof around the little balcony area for the attic space, and I just kind of worked out the shape. And I made the area at the bottom smaller, and it just kind of deleted a couple of parts because I knew that I wouldn't want to have a super huge house. So at the bottom I just expanded the terrain so the house just sits on top of the terrain and it's not floating. I could have just added more rooms at the bottom instead of using the terrain there, but it would have been just so huge. And this house is already quite big actually. This house has 3 bedrooms, 2 kids' rooms and 1 master bedroom, and the master bedroom is really huge. It's almost like a hotel suite. There are some sofas and all that. It's really big, and there is a bathroom directly connected to it, so technically it's an ensuite. But I also added another door to the bathroom so the Sims can also access it from the hallway if they wanted to. And in total there are 5 bathrooms in this build. So at the bottom there is a gym area, and the gym area has also a sauna and a bathroom directly connected to it. So color wise, I had no idea what to do at first. I added the very brown wall color that is part of island living. I just love this wall color so much. It looks so tropical and traditional, but at the same time it looks super modern, and I feel like it's amazing for so many different builds. So you are kind of not limited with this wall color to kind of traditional island theme builds. I love it so much. But then I actually decided to change the color because I felt like it was too dark. So at first I was happy with the house and the shape and how the whole build kind of came along, but then I wasn't really sure. So I added the color, as you can see here, and I will change more of it later. And I added the Get Famous arch. I love to use this arch when you change the size. When you size it down or up, you can do all kinds of different things with it. So one of the arches is kind of going through the balcony basically, and I just kind of merged it and it looks so amazing. And then I added more stuff to make it look tropical. So I kind of wanted to have this more cool toned brown color. I think it's part of Spa Day, but then I added more of the island living wood color, but a different one than the one that I used before. It's again more cool toned and not as red. And I just kind of created a cool color combination and a nice contrast. I used a lot of white again for the contrast, and I also used the fence that is part of Island Living, and I combined it with some half walls. I used the one that has some blue in it because I kind of wanted to have a different color for this build, because my other island builds kind of have all kinds of different color schemes, but I wanted to have something new, so I didn't want to repeat what I've done before. So I used a lot of blue and just the spa day wall color and just different things. So I was kind of creating this, and at this point I'm just adding more stuff, and I have to say that the whole process was kind of chaotic for this build. So as you guys know, I never really lay out a floor plan. I just kind of start working somewhere and then I add more and more stuff and the build comes along, and then in the end I work on the floor plan. But this build was kind of chaotic even for me. I didn't really have a solid plan. I had no idea when it would be enough, so I was kind of adding more stuff. And here you just saw the pool, and of course I worked with a couple of round shapes in this build. You guys know that I love this, so I used the spa day slab. It's just some type of stone slab to create the round shape around the pool. So I sized it up a little bit, and then I just placed it in a round shape to create the illusion of a round pool, because of course we cannot have any proper round pools in this game. So I felt like this is kind of an eye catcher and it looks fun, and it goes so well together with the wall that I created underneath. The wall has the same shape, the same curve, and I used the spa day monolith for it, and I just placed a lot of them. So the whole terrain has this round shape, and then I just placed the monoliths in kind of the same shape. So I worked out the whole thing, which was really weird at first because it was like a huge mega project. I felt like at first I started with the terrain at the bottom, then there was another level in the pool, and of course it's always a bit tricky to place the monoliths because when you place it in front of a slope, it's kind of floating. If that happens to you, if you're trying to create something like this where you raise the terrain and then you want to place the spa day monolith in front of it the way that I did, you have to make sure that you kind of push back the terrain a little bit. If you try to place it right in front of the slope, it's going to hover and it looks weird. So I placed the stone slabs first, and then I used flood heights to push back the terrain, basically, because you can use flood heights to manipulate the terrain. When you place them down there and you kind of place them right at the bottom of the slope, you kind of push the terrain back. So this is what I did here. And on the left side I used a round piece of foundation to create a round roof, just for a little area where your Sims can sit and hang out. I've explained this a couple of times, but I want to explain it again in case you are watching one of my videos for the first time. So you can create this round shape by using one of the round foundation pieces that already have a fence attached to them. There are other round foundation pieces, but these won't work. It looks wonky and you won't have a perfect circle. So you use one of the round foundation pieces with a fence, you get rid of the fence, and then you make it smaller on both sides, one tile smaller. And then you just copy it and you create a perfect half circle or a perfect circle depending on what you want to build. And here I'm starting to work on the back of the build. I just kind of continued the theme. I used the blue beautiful Island Living fence and the Island Living windows, and I used this Jungle Adventure door in the back and in the front because the Island Living one wasn't fitting. It wouldn't fit in the center, and I kind of wanted this to look symmetrical, and I figured that the Jungle Adventure door is just perfect because the Jungle Adventure pack is just so perfect to match it with Island Living because of the whole theme. And here I'm starting to work on the interior. The interior is tropical but still kind of modern. I used a lot of the Island Living stuff, and I created a kitchen that has a lot of light brown colors. And here at this point I have a darker brown wood floor, and then I changed it for the gray one, as you just saw. This is also part of island living, so I was going for a modern look. I still wanted this to look very inviting and cozy kind of, and I created my own custom island counter because, as you guys know, we still don't have proper island counters, and I just love this kitchen so much. I think they have done a terrific job because it's always kind of difficult to find the right counter in my opinion, and I'm not really a fan of most of the counters. Back then I still used CC before starting my channel, and I never used any of the default counters, basically any of the counters that were not CC. The only non-CC counter that I loved to use back then was the Parenthood one. I love it. It looks so rustic and beautiful. It's such a great kitchen, but this one is just perfect. It looks so modern, so all we need at this point are some island counters and cabinets. But these island living shelves are also just amazing, and I just combined them with some other shelves, and I used a wall color that I have never really used before. I think it's also an island living wall color, and it's super red, and I at first didn't really think of combining some red with this interior, but I felt like the whole kitchen kind of looked a little bit bland. There was something missing. It didn't look inviting enough. I don't know, but there was just something missing. And then I felt like combining a very warm color with it, so just different for once and just a lot more inviting and warm. And this wall color was just the perfect choice in my opinion. So it's a very open floor plan once again. You guys know that I kind of always have a tendency to create floor plans that are super open, and I said a couple of videos ago that I want to build something without a open floor plan, but somehow it happened again. I'm so sorry. I'm definitely going to work on a floor plan soon that is not open, just so there's a bit of change, I guess. For the hallway, I used this amazing zebra rug. I think it's part of Get Famous, and I just love zebras. Whenever I visit a zoo and there are zebras, I'm the happiest girl. I mean, it's always fun to watch all kinds of different animals in a zoo, but for some reason I just love zebras, and I'm just generally not the person who's like super into horses and riding and all that. I've never done that, and I don't know. I mean, I love any type of animal, but I'm just not that person who has riding and horses as their hobby, if you know what I mean. So I'm not really into that, but zebras are just amazing. I think they are so wonderful. And last year I visited a zoo and they had zebras and they were just running around, and as soon as I stepped to the fence, they just kind of came running. Like, it was a little zebra family, 2 zebras and a little one. It was so cute, and they were coming so close to the fence. It was so cute. I almost cried. I don't know why, but it was just so emotional and so beautiful. And at the weekend I'm going to visit a zoo again, and I just hope to see some zebras and other animals, and I'm super excited for this. Maybe this is why I kind of gravitated towards that zebra rug, because it kind of remembered me of that. I don't know. And I built a little office, and this whole build is super sun flooded. This was important to me because at the end of the day this is still an island living build. It's super tropical, it's island themed, it's very happy and open, and I kind of wanted to use lots of windows, so it's sun flooded and bright and just very happy. I mean, if I would be living in paradise, I would definitely want to have a view. Just imagine living in paradise and there aren't any windows, or not many windows, and you cannot watch the beautiful ocean and the beach. So I really wanted to include tons of windows in this build. And this here is the master bedroom. As I said earlier, it's super huge. It's almost like a hotel suite, so I included lots of things. It's super big. There's a lot of space in this room, and these are the 2 kids' rooms. So one is blue, one is pink. I just wanted to use these 2 very common color schemes, so there's a bit of variation, and I decided to place the bed in the corner because I felt like it just makes sense, because there are these windows and the corner, there was just a bit of space, and I felt like it's something different for once. And I kind of designed the other bedroom in the same way almost, but yeah, as I said, I was going for a pink color scheme. And these are just very happy, friendly kids rooms. So there is enough space for a decent sized Sim family, I guess. And technically you could divide the master bedroom into 2 bedrooms because it's super big. So this is almost it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a fantastic week. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.